You talk about red flags, honey. My freaking yard was on fire. I definitely jumped into dating too soon. I am a huge believer of not having alcohol on the first date. Alcohol absolutely turbocharges the physical piece of dating. It creates a sense of false connection. The no alcohol thing is a game changer. Hey, beautiful. Welcome back. So in the last episode, I spoke about overcoming common fears in dating and midlife, right? Overcoming all of those fears that we may have if we're stepping back into the dating world in midlife, like all those feelings of uncertainty and vulnerability and doubt that can really hold you back from putting yourself out there. And so if you missed that episode, go back to last week, listen to that. There's definitely, I shared with you 5 fears that you may have and how do you overcome it. And so today I want to continue that conversation of dating after divorce. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into something more personal. I'm going to get a little bit vulnerable here and really just share my own journey in the dating scene after my divorce, one of which I'm still navigating. And so this episode is all about the ups and the downs and honestly, like everything in between that I navigated dating again and again, still navigating after all those years of being married. So this is going to get raw. It's going to get real. But most of all, I hope that this offers some comfort and inspiration for those of you who are on a similar path and are just navigating these waters. So plus, I'm going to give you a little update at the end of where I'm at in my dating life currently. Okay. So, let's just dive right in and really I'm going to just start from kind of the beginning, right? And like what this looked like for me post-divorce. So I filed for divorce in 2019. And then our divorce wasn't final until 2020. And so, I filed for divorce like right before the pandemic hit. And so the entire year that our divorce was going on, like we were in the middle of like the beginning of we were in the pandemic. We were in it. So it was interesting. Like my ex and I spent a lot of time together during that time because it was like we were homebound, right? And so one of the things that he and I agreed upon was that while we were in that place, like until we were officially divorced, we were not going to date anybody. We were just going to maintain that integrity. And that's a decision that I'm glad that I stuck to for sure. But what that did though, is that when the ink was actually dry on the paper in 2020, my mindset was like, okay, I'm ready. Like it's been a year. Like I'm ready. And as I've shared, in my last, not my last episode, but a couple episodes ago where I've recorded this, like that was actually a little bit, that was not really true. Meaning like that was really, for me, that was, I needed more time. And that gave me like that year long that I had where I was going through the divorce, but not actually divorced. Like it gave me this like false sense of being ready, because what I just didn't realize is that even though I was like separated for that year, I wasn't really on my own. And there's just something that clicks, I think, like when the ink is actually dry on the paper and like you really are like now you're like it is a reality that you are divorced. I think it is different. So I share all that to say I definitely jumped into dating too soon. I wish I would have spent more time with myself. I wish I would have spent more time being honest with myself about some of these fears that I had about dating, about feeling not good enough. I wish I would have spent more time addressing the fears of feeling like damaged goods, right? I think too, what can happen, and this happened for me, is that because I was separated, and that was like a year long, and then of course, like everything leading up to even being separated, I was so like love starved that I definitely like jumped on literally and figuratively. I definitely jumped on whatever came my way in those early days. And I look back at some of those men that I dated right out the gates, and I'm not knocking those men, but they were not a fit for me. I mean, you talk about red flags, honey. My freaking yard was on fire, okay? Like with all the red flags, but it was like I was so desperate for that connection and just wanting to be with somebody, that I put up with a lot of stuff, that I would definitely not put up with now. And so I think one of the, the big takeaways for me was just, and that I want to really share with you, that it is okay to take some time, right? It's okay to just, in fact, I highly recommend it, right? There's no pressure to get back out there. Learn to love yourself. Learn to be so in love with being by yourself, taking trips by yourself, maybe, go, or even starting small and going to the movies by yourself, taking yourself out to dinner, so that when somebody comes along, you don't feel like you need them to completely. Girl, you're already complete. You don't need that. You want a companion. You want somebody who's going to bring value to your life, right? But I want you to learn to love your life so much before you go out into the dating world. And it can be hard to do that, I know, in the beginning, because you may feel lost. Right? You may feel sad. You may feel broken. And it can be very easy to like look to somebody else to fill that for you, right? To make you feel not so lost, and to give you that sense of love, right? But what happens if and when that goes away, right? What if that person doesn't work out? And then now you're right back to feeling lost and sad, right? And so it's about really owning your value and your worth before you put yourself out there. So I think for me, when I was, starting to date again, even though I did a little too soon, I mean, yes, was it exciting? Sure. Sure, it was exciting. Was it scary? Yes. Did I have like a lot of heartbreaks, right? Because not everybody, and for good reason, not everybody worked out, right? But yeah, it was definitely a roller coaster. But I think that, the more time that I learned to spend with myself during that process, the more confident I got for what I was a yes for and what I was a no for. And so I definitely think that, if you are somebody who is trying to really maybe create some time for yourself, right, before you get out into the dating world, I definitely recommend at minimum just starting to adopt an early morning practice of getting quiet with yourself. Just learning how to connect with your own emotions, with how you're feeling, being able to just get clear on, even just very simply put, like, what do you want out of your day, right? And like getting into this practice of making ourselves a priority, of reconnecting with our intuition, of really getting clear on how we're feeling and understanding that is going to serve you so well as you enter into the dating world. So I think that, if somebody were to ask me, okay, so like what would you what are the steps that you would go to if you were somebody who was just getting divorced, or maybe you're divorced now and you're thinking about entering back into the dating pool. So I would just say, first and foremost, is as I've been talking about, spend some time with yourself, right? Spend some time first. Some people ask me like, well, how long? Listen, you will know. But if I could do it over again, I wish I would have taken 6 months. Like from the date that the papers were signed, I wish I would have taken 6 months. So take some time for yourself, adopt that early morning practice where you are definitely getting clear on and getting clear for what you want and what you don't want, right? But then also really reconnecting with yourself. Now, if you've been in that steady practice and you feel like you are in a good place emotionally, then yeah, let's talk about what does it look like to put yourself out there. Now, I want to just say one thing though. Part of this process, and this is just really true for anything as you're trying to heal post-divorce, sometimes we wait to do the thing until we are like 100% completely healed. And oftentimes, actually, what brings the healing is taking the action. Right. And so just what I want you to know is I don't want you to feel like you have to be completely healed. Like you're never going to have a sad day. You're never going to have like a relapse day or something triggers you or whatever, where you kind of go back down that hole of, being, just being affected by the divorce and where you're at and, reliving a lot of those emotions. Like that is totally normal. Like to wait for that day where you are completely free of that. Well, then girl, you're never going to be dating. Cause I can tell you I'm 5 years post-divorce and I still sometimes have days like that. I still sometimes have moments that trigger me, right? So I think that there's a fine line between like waiting, just, giving yourself a little bit of space and time, but then also just knowing that it's always going to feel a little bit scary and knowing that you are going to learn so much about yourself when you start dating. Like I never would have discovered that I was in an anxious attachment style that's so like completely counterintuitive of like my personality, but it's true. I am definitely anxious attachment. And it's something that I realized when I started getting back into the dating world for sure. So I think that, the very first step is putting yourself out there in the online dating space. I know some people are like, oh, online dating. And yes, it's a beast, right? But I got to tell you, especially, I don't know about you, but like, I'm not spending my time out in the bars. Okay. Like I'm not the way that we used to meet men, it's just not what we do these days. Right. And so what I like about the dating apps, and there's definitely some that are better than others. Some of the ones that I like is I like Hinge, also The League. Like when I was on a dating app this last go around, it was The League. I like that one a little bit better. There's not as much of a pool as there is on Hinge, but I honestly, I found some of these dating apps where there's too many, I just found it exhausting, to be honest. It was like a job. So get yourself on a dating app because I do think that it helps you to just start to just see what's out there. And don't get discouraged too, because yes, as I said earlier, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to get to the prince, right? Like it does, and it does take some time, right? But I definitely recommend getting on a dating app. It's the first step of putting yourself out there, right? And I know that it feels nervous, like this is the modern dating world, and I was nervous putting my profile together and doing all of that. But again, just look at this as a learning experience, and you are going to attract the person that is right for you, right? You are going to bring in the person that you are meant to be. It may take a little time. You may have to, explore different things to get there. But I really just want you to approach a dating app with more curiosity, right? And almost wow, this actually makes things a little bit easier for me. I don't have to just stand around in a bar waiting to meet Mr. Right, right? You kind of get to pre-screen people. And so I think that is definitely the very first step, is just putting yourself out there. I think then the next kind of piece of advice, or kind of the next step, is really just to not overthink things too much and really just take things slow. I am a really big believer on the first date of meeting for coffee. Apparently, this is how the youngsters do it, just so you know. Okay, I have a sister that's 28, and apparently these days of going out to dinner on the first date, it's just not a thing anymore. And I got to tell you, some of the mistakes that I made in the beginning was doing things like that. But what I realized is that then you're on the hook. If it's a mutual friend or something, and or it's somebody that you kind of know that maybe you're exploring, okay, that's fine. But if you're just going out with a straight up stranger, girl, do not go out to dinner. Seriously, set up a coffee date, set up maybe a walk in the park. I think it's so important, and I learned this the hard way. It's so important to just do a quick little, it's almost like a little speed date, right? One that you can bounce at any time. You're not on the hook for. It doesn't make it awkward. The other piece of that, though, is I am a huge believer of not having alcohol on the first date. I know some of you are like, what? That seems crazy. That's no way. Can't do that. And I get it, but I can tell you I've done it both ways. And this is what I've learned about myself is number one, girl, when I've had a couple drinks, listen, I'll talk to the wall. Okay. And anybody's attractive. And what it does to me, I shouldn't say anybody's attractive. God, if there's previous men that have dated me that are listening to this, are like, holy shit, Amber. No, but listen, I can tell you, I'm a very affectionate person. And what I've noticed is that the alcohol absolutely like turbocharges the physical piece of dating. And I have recently been dating somebody for a while. I guess I was going to say this for the end of the episode, but I'm going to weave it in because I'll tell you, like I've been dating somebody for the last couple months now. He's incredible, and it's been great. But when we first started dating, like this is the first person that I've dated since I've given up alcohol. I think a lot of you know I've talked about this on the show. About 4.5 months ago, almost 5 months ago, I think now, I gave up alcohol. Just wanted to go alcohol free. It's been a freaking game changer in my life. That's a whole other episode for a whole other day. But this was the first person that I dated totally sober. And what I noticed is that we didn't even like touch each other until like the third date. So much to where I was like, God, this is so awkward for me because I'm so used to basically like being all over somebody on the first date. Again, because I've got the wine goggles on, right? And it just ramps up your, physical piece of it. And what I think that does is it creates a sense of false connection. It creates a sense of false connection. And so definitely for me, when I'm dating somebody, especially moving forward, yeah, I mean, the no alcohol thing is a game changer. And then also keeping that first date, either like, meeting for drinks or meeting for coffee or going for a walk or whatever that looks like, trying to keep it like brief to where you can get in, get out, and then decide if you like them. That is definitely a huge, huge tip that I would recommend. So I think that, definitely just taking it slow is key, taking the pressure off, right? And I also think too, kind of the last, tip that I want to share with you guys is just having honest conversations with who you're dating, right? I mean, this person that I'm dating right now, I have been very honest with him that is like, listen, like, I've asked him questions, curious questions, like, what is your kind of cadence of communication? Like when you're dating somebody, how do you like to communicate? And the reason why I wanted to ask this question, and I was very honest with him of why I asked the question. I said, listen, you know what? I was married for 10 years. We were together for 15, and I dated somebody on and off for 3 years shortly thereafter. And then there was a lot of people mixed in between there. And I moved very fast with all of those relationships for the most part that, post-divorce. And I said to him, I don't even know what I don't even know what normal communication looks like anymore. Like, I feel like I don't even know, like, and part of this, I heard somebody say this on social media once, and I so identified with this, which is, I was married for so long that like, I don't even know how to be a girlfriend anymore, or I don't even know how to casually date. I only know how to be a wife. And that is something that I really, really held on to. And that makes so much sense to me because I think that when you are starting to date post-divorce, you can have this tendency of going really fast because you only know that level of connection, right? Of when you're marriage and that level of a relationship. And so obviously that level brings on a certain level and intensity of communication. And so, I had said to him, like, I don't even know, like, what is normal communication. And so I think it's really important to just have these authentic and normal and authentic and honest conversations with the person that you're dating. And just remembering that, if it doesn't work out with that person or they ghost you, which yes, there's still some shitty men and women out there that do that, right? If they ghost you or if they break up with you in a respectful way or whatever that looks like, it's not a reflection of your value. All it means is that they're just not the person for you. They are just not the person for you. And so I really just want to encourage you to just, really define the beauty of this is that you really get to define your path of love here, right? Like you get to rewrite your love story, however that looks. But I just really want you to be open to let go of a lot of these fears, right? I really want you just to be excited about being able to, again, define what you're a yes for and what you're a no for in your life, and go about dating with a little bit of curiosity. And so I know I've shared a little bit about kind of where I'm at now in my dating world. But so, yes, the answer is yes, I have met somebody that I've been dating for the last couple months, and we are taking it slow for sure. I can tell you that, in fact, I even just had this conversation with my mom today, that like taking it slow for me is it's new to me. It's new to me. And sometimes it feels a little uncomfortable because I still want to like think if things are moving slow, that means he's not interested. And my mom's like, Amber, no, that's not what that means. It's just you're so used to moving so damn fast that you're not sure what this looks like moving slow. So yes, I am dating somebody and we are taking it slow. I'm having so much fun. One of the things that I have loved so much about being with this person is that just how adventurous they are and how comfortable I feel around them physically, just how comfortable I feel around them emotionally. And so, I do think that the fact that we had, we spent so much time in the front where there was no alcohol involved. There was a lot of just authentic conversation and connection. And so there's a friendship that's been built, so it wasn't just built right off the bat of just having sex, right? I think that is a huge thing. And so, yeah, so that's what's happening with me. I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying this person so much. So freaking TBD, right? I will keep you posted. But I just hope that you found this, maybe by me sharing a little bit about my experience, what it looked like for me. I hope that you can learn something from it. And I hope that it gives you some hope. And I hope that you are excited, girl, to get yourself out there. So thanks so much for listening, and I'll catch you next time.